So Danielle and I are VPs at Flentech, and we both have technical backgrounds and MBAs and industry experience before coming into tech transfer. So the what of today is really, again, focusing on the tools that we wanted to share with you without much discussion of the broader context for using those tools, because we know that you know a lot of that background already. When we're training researchers, we do go into that context. And if you're planning to use some of these tools with your researchers, you'll probably need to do that as well. But the goal nevertheless remains the same, which is to help your researchers and inventors to make sure they're as much of an asset as possible when engaging with industry in trying to move their technology forward. So I just want to mention that to make this as easy as possible for you, all the slides and the tools that we're going to show you, we have put onto a page on our website, and the URL for that page is on the very last slide here. So you can feel free to pay attention without really thinking too much about writing down lots of notes, because it'll be easy for you to get afterwards. So I keep saying tools. What we're really talking about are one infographic, a phrase, 2 anecdotes, and 3 printable worksheets. And that's what we're meaning by tools today. So the tools can help and are intended to help with a wide variety of scenarios, call them engagement scenarios, in which researchers and inventors engage with potential partners. And this is kind of a notional diagram here. So some might be short, informal elevator pitches, if you would, that are likely to be pretty serendipitous and often verbal. But they happen frequently, and they can be highly leveraged with some advanced planning, even though they are informal. A lot of the other scenarios are longer, more formal, pre-planned interactions that take various forms, like written communications, lab tours, proposals, or even PowerPoint presentations. But the common goal in all of these is to move technology forward by engaging in discussions that are appropriate at that stage of the game, whatever it is, for both parties, to quickly learn if there's mutual interest in moving forward toward the next step. So again, the tools provided in the next couple of slides are ways that you can help your researchers and your tech transfer office get more out of all of these various types of scenarios. Because while we all know there's tremendous advantages to situations where the innovator himself or herself is engaging directly with industry, be it live or virtual, I'm sure that you're all aware too that there can be many types of pitfalls that we come across. Some include dominating the conversation, or worse, not saying anything at all, sometimes focusing on minutia, talking to the wrong person, or giving the wrong message to the right person, revealing proprietary details prematurely, getting defensive whenever there's critical feedback that comes across, or just not listening carefully, which might result in missing opportunities that might be different from what was the original intent of the conversation, but are still valuable in some way. So what we've done is we've identified these 5 areas as key areas for helping where increased understanding can help avoid those pitfalls, and we've developed tools to help with skill building in each of these areas. So understanding the process itself, knowing how to create value-based benefits, being able to stand in your partner's shoes, expanding your applications for your technology creatively, and then effectively conveying the technology. So the first tool is intended to help stakeholders, but in this context, specifically researchers, to understand the commercialization process. And so we've developed this tool called the Road to Technology Transfer, and it's an infographic, and it is available. We developed it several years ago, specifically for the tech transfer community. And so it's free to use. You can find a link on our website to a downloadable PDF, as well as to versions that you can embed on your website. And we even have it in French and Spanish, in addition to English. So I'm going to turn over to Danielle to be able to tell you about some of the other tools.
Thanks, Becky. And that last diagram we have had people use, and the sort of playful character of it really, really helps to convey the complexities that are part of tech transfer. So this tool here is, how do you effectively convey the technology? And we often refer to this as the technology overview. And there are three key parts here that make the meat of this, and these apply whether you're writing or verbally speaking. And excuse me, having the inventors focus on these three pieces really helps them get to the crux of what they need to be conveying. So there's the description, and this is what the technology does, not how it works. And it should be pretty brief. With the benefits, we want to focus on what are the innovative aspects. How is this better, faster, cheaper? And that's very different from the features. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then finally, the applications. And this is really beyond that original use. So what was the problem that the inventor was originally trying to solve? And who else might have that same problem? So once you've gone through all three of those pieces, especially if this is written, tying a nice little neat bow on things with a marketing title is helpful. And this again is a title that you want to help quickly draw people in on, is this something they might be interested in learning more about? And that's probably very different than a patent title. So this is just a quick way to do this. And we've got a worksheet that also helps with this that I'll show in just a minute. First, we'll talk about the benefits versus features. And this is a pitfall that we see people fall in all the time. So the real difference is the so what. So for example, you've got a feature that is, this material absorbs less than 1% of water. Well, who cares? Well, you turn that into a benefit by saying it provides an effective moisture barrier. If you look at the second example, so unlike conventional system, ours uses optical fibers. Okay, so let's add the so what into it. Well, it eliminates many metal parts of conventional systems, so it's smaller, lighter, and less costly. And so those are the things that really people care about. This third one kind of demonstrates a way that we often do this when it's written, and we really pull those benefits out and make them bold. So sure, it uses C++ code, but why does that matter? It makes it affordable and accessible. And then you state that it uses that C++, but what does that enable? Well, implementation on existing systems. So you can see here that it's really that so what that takes something from a feature that's hard to kind of figure out if you care about it or not, into a benefit that really draws somebody in. So we have a couple of examples here of how to think about expanding applications. So the first example on the left, NASA, actually, we were working with them on a technology that was designed for space antennas. And they thought it might have applications for displays. However, at the time, it was a very expensive material. So they needed to figure out either how to get the cost down or perhaps how to get the volume up enough that it could help get economies of scale that brought the cost down. So we started thinking, who might have similar problems, who might need something that is flexible but really, really durable. So lots of brainstorming, probably a few drinks later, somebody thought about the nail polish industry. And at the time, premium products in beauty care were really, really ramping up. And so we reached out to one of the biggest players in the beauty industry, and they were indeed interested. And so the technology was licensed for a premium nail lacquer. It got the volumes up high enough that the cost of the material came down, and a small company then licensed it, developed flexible displays that are now being used by large makers. For example, Samsung coming out with their foldable phone. So that's a really clear example of how you go very outside the box to help achieve that impact. Now, similarly on the right, a large phone maker had figured out how to join the two sides of a handset without having a seam. So it made a very, very premium office phone. So they started thinking about, well, who else might be interested in this technology? Well, there is a well-known little doll on the market that cares a lot about appearance. And so the ability to remove seams from that doll was really, really attractive to the large maker. So again, two very out of the box ways that you think about expanding applications, but it really is important to think about that problem first. And that opens up a lot of different industries that inventors might not have thought about originally.
And Danielle, I was just going to mention that we encourage them to repeat these stories because they're really easy to understand and catchy stories that might help you to illustrate the same point with your inventors.
Yes, definitely feel free to use these. Any of the examples we give you today. So here's a written example of a technology overview, and we share this just so you can see really how simple it can be and convey what you're looking for. So I'm not going to read through this, but you can see we start out with that marketing title. Then there's a very brief description. In this case, it's 3 sentences. That's enough to do the trick. Then you have potential benefits where you really highlight the so what part, and then a list of potential applications. And again, they're potential applications. It doesn't have to be every application, or you don't have to be sure it can be used there. It just starts the thought process for folks. And that was the written format, but you can also do this verbally. And then as Becky mentioned, all of the worksheets are available on our website. And this format we have found is really, really useful for getting inventors to start thinking this way. So we encourage you to use this tool. There's one other way that we often work with inventors, especially when they really have limited time and they need to have a true elevator pitch, like 1 minute that's ready. And so for those of you that remember Mad Libs, we stole that format here to just help people fill in the blank. And this format really works well. Like that first piece is important. Our product or service is, and you have to include a noun or some short phrase that really gets to the point. And it's like, it is a sensor. It is a novel material. You don't want 42 words that describe exactly what it is. It's like a single noun or maybe 3 words. And then the rest of this falls together using a lot of the same elements we did before. And we've got an example we can show you here. So this is from the phone example. It shows you how just in 2 sentences, you hit all those points. So our innovation is a method. There's that noun. What does it do? It joins the 2 halves together. What's the benefit from it? It avoids unsightly seams. And the value is that it's a more attractive end product. So again, 2 sentences. So sharing examples like this with your inventor really helps them get in the right mindset. The final piece here is actually thinking about the audience. So a lot of times inventors and quite frankly, tech transfer professionals don't think about who they're talking to. They don't put enough effort into that. And so we have come up with a tool that we refer to as the ammo to really help hone your message and what you're saying to your audience. So the A is that audience. Is it business professionals that maybe don't have technical background, or is it really the researchers, in which case you want to be talking more technical detail? Is it a single person? Is it a group? The message part is, what are you really trying to convey, and making sure you've got that honed. You don't want to be rambling on. The mechanism is, how are you going to convey this information as people? Is it written? Is it verbal? And how might that affect how you hone your message? And then finally, the outcome. What do you want somebody to do when they hear this? You know, you really need to ask for this. We've seen a couple of examples where people have given great pitches. The company really liked what they were hearing, but then they didn't say, we want to partner with you, or we'd like your investment. And things just kind of fizzled. And so you really have to think about, what is it that you want to come out of this interaction, and make sure you ask for that. So as we mentioned, all of these things are available on our website. Laura has been posting some links in the chat, but this is the link that will take you to all the resources that are from Autumn, including this Tools in 10 session. And like Laura mentioned, there's another one tomorrow on benchmarking. But we'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have on this. Hopefully you found it useful, but we'd be happy to engage with you.